Hello YouTube. Today we'll try to understand file system in Node.js. Nowadays, every respectable programming language does have the functionality of performing simple file input-output operations. In the same way, Node.js, the current talk of the town, is also not far away. That is, Node.js also gives the functionality of file input-output operations by providing wrappers around the standard POSIX functions. In Node.js, file input-output methods can be performed in both synchronous as well as asynchronous form, depending upon the user requirements. In order to use this functionality, we need to require the fs module. So, let's require the fs module in our code, where fs is equal to require fs. That's done. Now we are ready to start performing the file operations. Let's start by creating a simple text file and adding some content in it. fs.writeFile is an inbuilt method of fs module which is used to write a file asynchronously. Its first parameter is the name of the file. The second parameter is the content in the file. If any error is encountered while performing the operation, we'll throw the error. Otherwise, it will console it's saved. And in order to check the asynchronous nature of our code, we are printing this method is asynchronous. Now let's save it. Okay, it's saved. Now let's run the code. We can run any Node.js file by writing node in front of the file. If you will observe, this method is asynchronous is printed before it's saved. This will show that this code is running asynchronously. Let's check the file. Okay, here is the file message.txt and its contents include hello Node.js. So it's that simple, writing a file in Node.js asynchronously. Okay, so now let's comment the previous code and try performing the same operation synchronously. Okay, so we can use fs.writeFile sync in order to perform the same operation of creating a file and adding some content in it synchronously. The first parameter of this method is the name of the file, and the second parameter is the content in the file. And we are using console statements to check its synchronous nature. Let's save this file and let's run it. Node file system.js. If you'll observe, the method is synchronous is printed after file created and data saved, which shows the synchronous nature of this method. Now let's see the file. Okay, we are having content.txt here, which prints this is content. So this is how we can write a file synchronously. Now let's try reading a file asynchronously. fs.readFile is the inbuilt method which is used to read the file asynchronously. The first argument is where we'll have to give the relative path of the file from the current working directory, the content of which we want to read. Error will handle the exceptions which will encountered, if any, in our code, and data parameter will hold the content of the file. which will be printed using this statement. And in order to check the asynchronous nature of our code, we are using this statement. Let's run it. Node file system.js, and what we have forgot to save this file. Okay, now let's run it again. As you can see, the method is asynchronous is printed before the actual content of the file, which proves the asynchronous nature of our code. And the content of the file is this is content, which is printed successfully on our console. Okay, now so let's try performing the same operation of reading a file synchronously. We can perform it using the read file sync method. Here in this parameter, we have to pass the relative path of the file from the current working directory. We are storing the content of the file in this data variable, and then we are printing it using this statement. And in order to check the synchronous nature of our file, we are using this console statement. Let's check it. Node file system.js. Okay, again we have forgot to save it. Let's run it once again. Okay, if you'll observe, the content of the file is printed before the console statement. This method is synchronous, which will prove the synchronous nature of our code. That's it for today. Stay tuned for more amazing videos.